It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are ready to talk about a whole bunch of topics again. It's this week has been pretty loaded, I would say. Chase, Reed, hope you guys are doing well as well behind the glass. It's Talking Tuesday, so we got plenty to talk about, and we look forward to doing that with you guys, but not only you, but also our buddy Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson will do that at the top of the hour like we do every Tuesday here on the Miller's Edge. So looking forward to doing that because we got some big news to cover today, guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen it, but Alabama has, in fact, already made a move in terms of who will be the next offensive line coach here in Tuscaloosa. So we got to talk about that. We discussed a little bit about this individual yesterday with the news of him being the primary target. Well, it's official for the most part, I guess. I guess Alabama hasn't officially announced it as far as I'm concerned, but still, you get the point. We got a new offensive line coach. We'll break it down. I had some more time to do some research yesterday. I only knew a little bit, probably about as much as you guys, and still I wouldn't say I know, a whole bunch based off of experience. However, I did reach out to one of my former teammates who actually played for Coach Klemm with the Steelers, and just asked him a little bit about him. I'm trying to see if he'll jump on here at some point if he gets a chance. I'm not sure if he will be able to or not, but regardless, I got his thoughts on it. And he had a lot of positive stuff to say about Coach Klemm. So there's that for anybody that might be wondering, how he is as a coach. Plus, I even went back and tried to watch some of his interviews, kind of hear more about him, his philosophy. It's one thing to just look at, the numbers of how his offensive lines performed, which, I guess that paints a picture. But I like hearing from these individuals. I think you can kind of get an idea on, their mentality, who they are as a football coach, a lot of their philosophies that way. So I went and watched some of his press conferences that he did when he was with Pittsburgh and in Oregon, and kind of just was trying to get a vibe. And listen, I think it could be a solid move, but we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail here in a moment. But we also got some other news that we're probably going to have to keep talking about. Chase, Reed, listen, this whole Bediako saga is not done yet. And I don't know if it's going to be done anytime soon. Now, remember, there was the whole deal about the actual decision, right? They were going to make the decision. However, due to the weather, which we know it's been freezing cold. Matter of fact, let's check. It's going up a little bit. It's 32 right now. It was a lot lower than that. Well, because of the weather, the representative for the NCAA couldn't make the hearing. So guess what? Slap another 10-day temporary restraining order on the whole case with Charles Bediako, which means he will be suiting back up for the University of Alabama this evening as they have a game here in Coleman, I believe against Missouri, but also,
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, against Missouri tonight, and that also means he will be eligible to play against Florida, who I don't know if you guys heard the soundbite, but their head coach had some comments about Charles Bediako and his eligibility. So definitely some interesting stuff going on, and it doesn't stop there. It continues now that the NCAA has asked the judge in this case to recuse themselves. I don't know. Chase, Reed, at this point, I'm just kind of like, is it even worth going through all these hoops and hurdles, man? I don't know. I mean, we'll definitely dive into it a little bit here, but I understand we definitely need the help. You guys already know my stance on the move. Again, I definitely did not love it by any means. And now just the more this goes on, it's just like, oh, my gosh, man. Just more negative attention nationally, just in the conference, whatever you want to say. I mean, it just to me, it's just a weird look, man. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Reed, Chase, I mean, how do you think this thing goes, man? Have you seen some of these updates with this whole Bediako thing in terms of, I think in the NCAA's case, they've even used screenshots from a Reddit thread, which if people don't know what Reddit is, it's like a message board type deal. I guess that's the best way to explain it. Would you guys explain it any way different? Reddit is about it, right? Like a message.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on this whole situation now? I mean, because it's kind of being, I don't know, it's dragging itself out, and it's starting to get a little weird, at least from my perspective. What do you guys think?
No, Christian, I kind of agree with you. It's I think the weather, dragging it on for at least the hearing, and then because of that, now the NCAA, like you mentioned, is telling the judge, hey, can you just kind of would you be willing to pull yourself from this case? But I went to media availability yesterday with Nate Oates, and several questions were asked about whether he thinks it's right, and he said even from his high school days that he stands by his players and he sees that Charles did nothing wrong.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it figures that, but this is a screenshot allegedly from this whole case. I think this is on behalf of the NCAA right here. If you guys are watching the stream, you can see this, but it looks like they're using a screenshot from, I guess, some Reddit thread of fans discussing this whole deal, and it says college basketball fans have also weighed in online comment boards such as Reddit, with the vast majority of commenters questioning the impartiality of the judicial process in this proceeding. So, kind of interesting, man. They're literally using Reddit right here to show people discussing this whole deal. I mean, if they really wanted to, I guess they could have just gone on Twitter or X, I should say. Probably would have saw the same conversations being had, but I don't know. Just interesting that they're relying on that. I mean, listen, I will say from the perspective that these cases happen in these college towns. I mean, like, if I had to put money on, how these cases are going to go, I mean, I think I'd be a pretty wealthy man. But I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you who is. Our guy Adam Lamparello. So make sure you guys. Matter of fact, when we get Adam on here, I don't know if we're going to start this Thursday or maybe the next, but we'll have to ask Adam of his thoughts on this, with him having a background in law and having a law firm for himself. Again, lamparello-law.com once they get that finalized. But I'm really curious what he would say about this whole deal in terms of how he sees it playing out, because he's a lot smarter than me, and he obviously has a background in this stuff. I don't, but I keep seeing all this stuff come up, and I'm bookmark it so we can discuss it. But that's the latest with this whole deal right now. And this is the other thing about the whole NCAA requesting the judge to recuse themselves. And I think the biggest reason was he has a past of being a donor for the university, maybe something like that, or his wife. But then I've seen people say, well, but he's not a graduate, and all the other judges are graduates of the university. So there's going to be even more partiality with those judges. So I mean, like, Chase Reed, let me ask you guys this. Is it possible to have the case outside of Tuscaloosa? Does it have to be in Tuscaloosa? Like, what's the whole deal with that?
Christian, I specifically don't know that answer to that, but I do just it for me it just feels like there's continuously another step. It's always this, and then there's this as well, and it's a continuous loop that if we keep doing this every single week, by the time, I mean, shoot, give it 10, 12, 15 more weeks, the season will be over with, and we won't have to argue it anymore. He'll just play every game. Why not?
Well, let me ask you this. If and I mentioned this yesterday, but I'm curious your thoughts, Reed. If we do happen to go on and make a big tournament run and accomplish a lot of big stuff, right? We rack up some nice accolades. Do you think that there's going to be some type of hunt to maybe vacate some of that success? Or even if it's not vacated, do you think there's just going to be a bunch of slander or negative press, or pretty much like an asterisk mark on any accolade that we do accomplish because of this move?
I believe so. Yes, I think it's more so going to be more backlash than anything at the NCAA, and I feel like once there's so much pressure added up from fans and just overall people that just watch collegiate athletics, I think there's just going to be so much backlash that eventually maybe the NCAA is going to feel pressured, and then from there making a move. I mean, I guess that's really up to them, but I think there will for sure at least be backlash. But when it comes to maybe forfeiting, I guess however far we get, maybe in the tournament, SEC tournament, March Madness, I really don't know.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a tough. I know it's a tough deal, but I know a lot of fans are probably like, "Oh, why you always seem like you're hating on it?" It's like, it's not me hating, man. It's just me give my honest opinion. I don't know. At some point, I'm just like, is it even worth going through all these hoops and hurdles? Hell, we lost the first game that he came back. So, as of right now, I would say I don't really feel like it's really worth going through all this hassle and dealing with all this. But it is what it is. We'll I guess we'll just keep monitoring it. But I want to get y'all's thoughts on all this this good deal. No, well, I wouldn't call this a good deal, but all this stuff going on. Anyway, good deal. We got to hit a timeout. Our first, when we come back, we'll dive into this football talk again. Big news with the coaching staff. Again, you got your official offensive line coach being named. We'll talk about that, give our thoughts. Want to get y'all's as well. 205-342-9904 is the number. Again, we got Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson at the top of the hour, helping us break this whole thing down, and we'll keep on rolling from there right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
The Tuscaloosa Thread News.
What's up, guys? Who we got? Phil, Gump, what's up? Robbie, what's up, man? Kenji, Ebony, Paul. That was Reed talking. We got two producers back there. We got Chase and we got Reed. That was Reed talking. And in terms of seeing them, I mean, if they have a camera that they want to turn on, that's entirely that's entirely on them. I don't know if they even have a camera in the studio, but I don't know. Maybe they want to drop their socials if you guys want to follow them. That's up to them. I don't want to put them on the spot. This will add more Bama hate than already exists, regardless of ruling. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of where I'm going with it. I'm just like, you already know people are going to have their comments, which don't really matter. I mean, that's all it is. Just comments don't really matter. But I'm just in my head. I'm just like, I don't know. For some reason, like I've always just, when I view Alabama, we've always just had this perception, at least in my head, of like, being classy, this and that. And I'm just like, I don't know if this really feels like it's kind of that whole deal. Just my perspective, though. Reed says he's not sure there's a camera in the studio, but y'all can check him out on X. It's K Arch 42. K Arch 42 on X. If you guys want to follow Reed, go give him a follow. Are Europeans allowed to play college basketball? You already know that answer, Jeremy. If you're asking that like trying to like make a point on this one, I've explained my thought process on that. I don't think any pro should be playing. I don't. But I just don't like that we keep using that excuse with this situation because, number one, two wrongs don't make a right. And number two, those guys were like recruited to come here like before the season. We went and got a guy. We were struggling and we needed help, down low. And ironically, that's what I mean. I don't know the timeline. Maybe he did already re-enroll, but to my knowledge, he had just Christian won't pay for it. No, I tried to go on there and sign up for it. No, I told you guys I would do that. But when I went to go do it, I forgot what happened. No, hold on now. That's not on me the producers are part of they're part of the station. Listen, if you only knew how this dynamic works, listen, the station was supposed to put cameras up a long time ago. That's not on me. Don't get on me, Smitty. Don't do that. That ain't on me, man. Listen, I mean, if I need to get them some cameras that they want to be on there, I mean, we can figure something out. But like I said, that you got to talk to the people that are in charge of that. That ain't me. But yeah, no, I mean, my thing, Jeremy, is I don't think any professional should be playing. But I just don't like when we use that comparison here because we went and got a guy mid-season, like in the middle of SEC play. To me, like I'm like let's just call a spade a spade. If this wasn't Alabama, if Auburn went and did what we're doing right now, you're telling me we wouldn't have backlash, like they wouldn't be facing backlash, and all Alabama fans wouldn't be piling up on. Come on now, man. I just don't like being hypocritical. That's all I'm saying. Judge being a booster kind of skews the case. Yeah, and I agree, but it's kind of hard when the cases are held in the college town too. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. I know everybody wants to talk O-line, coach, and football, and we're going to get to that. We're about to do it now. But just had to cover these updates in this whole Bediako case. Excuse me. I don't know if it's just me, but it interests me just because it's I don't know. It feels like it's one of these like drama series. I mean, there's like a new twist and turn every step of the way. And I don't know. I know some Alabama fans might not like that I'm not the highest on the whole move, but this is what I just said during the break, and I just want you guys to sit on it because, again, you guys know me. I'm just a very honest individual. I'm not just going to sugarcoat things or just say things that people want to hear. Not in a bad way. I'm just, that's just how I feel. If you took Alabama off the jersey, like say this was happening with Auburn or any other school, how would you guys, Alabama fans, feel about it? And there's your answer, because I already know the answer. You would say the same thing that I'm saying. It's just probably not right for the sport. But because it's us, we're going to say, oh, but other Europeans, I get all that. I don't want the Europeans playing either. If they played pro, let me go back and clear that up. The European pro players, I don't think they should be playing either. I don't want any pros in college sports. But it also is a little bit different where it's like, all right, they're coming from overseas. They were recruited and they were on the team prior to the season starting versus us. Okay, we're struggling right now. We pull a desperate move and go bring somebody that played on the team 2 years ago. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a great look. But anyway, if you guys want to chime in on that, I'm more than happy to talk about it because, like I said, that whole deal is very interesting to me. But I do need to get to this offensive line coach. Let me read a couple of these real quick. Seriously, Bediako shouldn't be playing. Maybe NATO should have brought in some better quality bigs. I agree. I mean, I think we kind of missed on some of those guys, if I'm being honest. Everyone just bashed IU about age. That's another fair point. We held Auburn to the fire for having a 26-year-old Chad Baker. Yep, true. Bediako should. Okay, so maybe I'm not the only one. All right, well, that's fair enough. I'm not the only person. That makes me feel better because sometimes when I'm seeing stuff online, I'm like, dang, maybe I am coming off as a hater, but I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know, man. I try to do what I feel like is right in my head. I don't know. That's what I go off of. Anyway, enough of that for now. We'll dive back into it in a minute. Let's talk about some football, guys. All right, we talked a little bit yesterday about moves potentially being made. The whole Coach Cap thing came up. He was let go. They parted ways. We talked about some potential candidates. Well, we really won. And, in fact, that ended up being the case. Adrien Clem officially being hired as Alabama's next offensive line coach. My thoughts on it, Chase Reed, I'll say this. I still don't feel like I have enough to go off of where I can just sit here and say, whether it's a home run hire, which let me be clear, I think we throw that term out way too loosely. Like we say home run hire about every single thing. If I'm being honest with you, I think if anybody says this is a home run hire, I think they're just talking. I don't think there's any way you're really going to know. I think this is just a wait and see type of deal. And the reason I say that is, to me, like home run hire, we should probably reserve that for like if we're hiring somebody who's like top 3 in their position or some like, you get what I'm saying? I don't know. But in terms of doing a deep dive and looking at what Coach Klemm has done over the years and who he is as a football coach, there's a lot that I do like about it. He started his career, as a player. He played at Hawaii, played in the league, was drafted by the Patriots, won 3 Super Bowls there, played for a couple other teams before entering the coaching world. He's been a coach at SMU, UCLA, with the Steelers, Oregon, and New England. Oregon that year was probably his best work as an offensive line coach. I want to say they were top 5 nationally in terms of sacks allowed. They only gave up 5, which is really impressive. And you're talking about an Oregon football team. That was the year in 22 that they had Bo Nix, if I'm not mistaken. So they threw the ball a whole bunch and only give up 5 sacks is really impressive. But also in terms of, their running game, or at least the running games that he's been a part of, definitely mixed results, but some really solid years. I know when he was at UCLA, I mean, they consistently had a top 40-ish nationally ranked running attack. The last 2 years, I think 15 and 16 probably being the worst. I think they ended up ranking like 120 something maybe, which is, obviously really bad. But like I said, mixed results, but, generally you see some positive stuff. And again, it's hard for me to really lean too much into all those things because without really going back and looking at every single factor in detail, which I know Clint does a good job of, I don't have the time to sit there and look at every single season and player that he had and all that. But I can tell you there were some positives. And, there's also another thing that stands out is he's also been, named, run game coordinator, which I think is big. My biggest thing is how much say will he have here? I think that's something you have to consider, right? I don't know what capacity, whether it's going to be more so, hey, fundamental and technique based type deal. How much influence? I'd imagine he'd have some influence on the running game, but it works different with every coaching staff or with every coordinator. Things can be a little bit different, but that is nice to see that he's had that on his title. So clearly, for a team that needs a running game desperately, that makes me feel good. And I talked about it yesterday, man. I mean, I'm not one to say you have to be a former player or to have played the game to talk about it, to coach it. However, I do believe that it does give you an advantage, especially from the coaching perspective, in terms of just really, relating to your guys, your ability to really coach them up. Like the coaches that I've always had or that I know that are position coaches for sure. I think it's a little bit different when it comes to, coordinators and maybe head coaches. But for a position coach to have played the game, especially that position, I feel like it always translates really well in terms of their teaching. So from that aspect, I really do like it because when you look at, just our offensive line and just, our lack of ability to execute and play with good fundamentals, good technique consistently, I feel like he could be a great candidate to fix that. You always want to look at fit when you're hiring a coach. How do they fit in with what we're doing and what this staff wants to do? And I would say that, judging off of where he's come from, like Oregon and UCLA, I feel like those offenses that were run there are probably pretty similar to what Kalen DeBoer and this staff want to run. So from a fit perspective, I like that. Pittsburgh, that's going to be a little bit different of a system, but that's nice that he does have some experience in some other systems. But in terms of fit, I think it also should be a good fit. So from the standpoint of, teaching and basically from, the fundamentals and technique side of things, I really like it. Fit wise, I think it's a very solid fit. And then just based off his resume, he's had some good work. Again, Oregon probably being his best work on his resume, which was very impressive. They averaged over 215 yards per game on the ground with a 5.5 yard per carry average. So I mean that is incredible, right? But then you also look at 2016, it was I think like less than like 2.3 yards per carry that year. So I mean there's going to be some ups and downs, but for the most part, I like it. And he's got NFL experience. I think that's, always nice to have. From a recruiting perspective, that's always big. That helps guys feel a bit more confident in your ability to develop them. You've been where they want to go. So that's always big. And like I mentioned, I even went back and was listening to, some of his press conferences or interviews that he's done over the years because, stats are one thing, but I want to hear from him, right? And, I did just that yesterday. And what I took away from it, I'll play some clips, but there was one where he was talking well, actually, this was a player interview that I ended up listening to. It was one of the guys that I believe they drafted in Pittsburgh, but just talking about really emphasizing physicality, which that really stood out to me, just trying to get him to play more physical. I was listening to an interview with him at Oregon, and he was just talking about, working guys at different positions, having that ability to know, where they fit in best and not just trying to throw guys in there in the game and just getting them as many reps as possible and really, refining their tools and fundamentals and techniques. So to me, all the things that I heard sound good. Like I said, I can't sit here and say that this magically fixed everything or that it's going to be the best hire we've ever made just because I think it's way too early to say that. I don't think there's enough to go off of. I don't think anybody can give a true, honest answer on that. But what I can say is just from everything that I've been able to do, I do feel good about it. And I know there's going to be some people that may have had other names in mind that might have been thinking that they wanted maybe Scott Huff or Sam Pittman, but you just gotta be realistic with some of these things, right? And, some of those guys, or if not all of them, might not have been available. I mean, one guy is contracted by an NFL team. I know they just lost, but he's still under contract for another year, if I'm not mistaken. Sam Pittman just got done as a head coach. Not always easy just to go hire a former head coach as a position coach, right? So you never know what the deal was, but I guess my advice would be don't always just jump to conclusions like, oh, man, well, we could have gotten this guy or this guy would have been better. The truth is nobody really knows, and this could end up being a really good hire. We'll have to wait and see. But, like I said, there's a number of things to like about him the more you look at it. And of course, people that if you want can try to lean into things. Oh, well, look how bad they were in 2016. But you got to remember, there's always more to the equation, right? I mean, he is at the end of the day an offensive line coach slash run game coordinator. But at the end of the day, the offensive coordinator has a lot more say than he would. So there's going to be things that could be influencing some of these things that might not be fair to him. That might make his work look a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse. You never know. So the best thing you can do is just be patient, give him a chance, and see how it goes. And like I said, there's definitely a lot of good things to like about what he's done. Only other thing I'll note is, and I don't know if this is kind of besides the point, but I just figured I'd bring it up. I want to say recently that he stepped away maybe for some health reasons. At least that's what I came across. I don't know the accuracy of all that or what exactly that entailed. But I would assume that if they were confident enough to hire him for this position, that they feel good enough about him, being available to do everything. And plus, we've been hearing stuff about maybe potentially going to maybe a two-man team type deal, maybe having an assistant, which is very common for a number of positions. And I want to say they just changed the rule where now there's not a cap or a limit on the number of assistants that you can have. Which, if that's the case, I think that'd be great. Get them a official assistant in there and let those guys work. And I think you have a good chance at seeing some improvements. But like we talked about yesterday, there's always going to be more that needs to be done. One coach isn't going to fix everything. And especially when you look at, the lack of consistency and the lack of commitment, that part needs to take place on behalf of Ryan Grubb. So hopefully he's doing his fair share. But I do like that they were able to go out and get a guy with a number of good things like on his resume. So I want to hear from you guys, get y'all's thoughts on it. 205-342-9904 is the number. We got to hit a timeout. I'll bring up some of the chat messages here in a minute when we come back. Plus, we'll get Clinton's thoughts on everything at the top of the hour right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that.
Sorry, guys. I think this cold weather, man. I can't with it, man. I can't. I go outside for like 20 minutes and I just can't even talk, man. I still feel cold. Jake, what's up, man? Carson, yeah, Klemm will be on here. Yeah, I saw part of that video. I didn't see everything, but no, in terms of, I did see a tweet that I think he posted where it was like, just like pages and pages and pages. I'm like, man, that's why I always tell everybody when he comes on here, if you're talking about somebody doing extensive work, man, that's Clint. I don't have enough energy nor time to sit there and read and research and no, I can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. I'll break down tape for you guys. I'll do the best I can, but I can. I'll leave that up to Clint for that part. Is Klemm or Morgan accessible for an interview? Love to hear from them. Man, knowing the way this media department's been acting a little bit recently, I'll be honest, man. Like when things are going great, everybody's available. They let everybody sit there in front of a camera and let anybody and everybody interview who they want to interview. But then when things aren't going great, when you get blown out by Indiana like that, it just kind of everybody's a little more stiff, respectfully. So I don't know. When you say Morgan, you talking about Courtney Morgan? I'm sure he probably would be available to do it, but if I'm being completely transparent with you, I mean he was supposed to come on last spring, and he kind of like, and I mean I'm cool with them, at least I think I am, but he left us hanging like twice, and then when I saw him, he was like, oh man, I just didn't want to put too much spotlight on me, but I'll come on there, just let me know. And then at that point I was kind of like, I mean, don't worry about it, man, it's all good. So like I said, I don't know, man, but I did reach out to one of my teammates though, JC Hassenauer. He played for Coach Klemm, and he had nothing but positive stuff to say. He really enjoyed playing for him. I was trying to get him on the show here, but I know he's a little busy, so I don't know if he can jump on today, but I was hoping he could. That way you could hear from somebody that literally played for him. I mean, I can try to text him again. Let me see. think it's strange how fans react so differently with coaching changes under DeBoer versus Saban. Saban ain't coming back. Who mentioned Coach Saban? I mean, I always reference him when it comes to like my experience, but I didn't hear about anybody mentioning him with this whole deal. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. That's in the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're talking about the new offensive line coach that has been hired, Adrien Clem, former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line coach and Patriots offensive line coach, but also Patriots player and a 3-time Super Bowl champion. So, again, we've given our thoughts. We'll have Clint Lamb join us at the top of the hour. He'll go in even more in depth in terms of everything that he's gathered on Adrien Clem. But again, from everything that I've read and watched, I do think it's a solid hire. Again, it's really a kind of wait and see deal on how everything ends up playing out. I don't think anybody can really just have a crystal ball and say, hey, now we're going to rush for 150 at least, because there are a number of factors that has to go in this thing. I mean, we got to see how the new thing about it. We're replacing virtually everybody on the offensive line outside of Michael Carroll. Technically you have Will Sanders who played some, but still you get my point. I mean, 4 starters are being replaced, a whole new offensive line coach. I mean, there's just so much movement, guys, that it's hard for – I don't think anybody can sit here confidently and say whether things are going to be great, perfect, bad, better, or worse. You just have to just kind of go off of kind of what you feel and really just wait and see. But I will say I think spring will tell us a lot, and that's why I'm really looking forward to spring ball kicking off. I mean, being able to see how all these pieces kind of play out and where everybody fits in and how it goes. But to me, I think it's a solid hire. I'm not going to give anything a grade right now. I think it's way too soon to do any of that. But it seems like a number of you guys are pretty confident with the hire. I mean, I haven't seen anything otherwise. I think I saw on X some people a little upset that it wasn't a guy like maybe Matt Luke or one of the big names. But like I said, man, you really have to just have a wait and see approach, because it could be a great, again, Oregon in 2022, which was his last year officially as an offensive line coach in college football, which he also was the associate head coach and run game coordinator. I mean, they were one of the best offensive line groups in the country. And again, that was his last year on the college ranks. So I know you might look at the end of his run at UCLA, but his last time being an offensive line coach or run game coordinator in college was extremely good, right? So that's a big positive. Now, the Patriots job that he had in 2023, I think the numbers were, probably maybe average at best, but you got to remember the NFL is a whole different deal. It is what it is, and it's hard to go off of, him making the jump to the NFL for 1 year before. I think that was when he stepped away, maybe due to some medical concerns. But then he came back, and most recently he was at Southern Cal serving as an analyst. So, again, my opinion is I like the hire, and I'm excited to see how it plays out, because I think from a technique and fundamentals standpoint alone, I think he could be very helpful, right? I think he also developed that's the other thing I was trying to look for in terms of development. He's had a number of draft picks and in all conference selections. One guy that he coached, I believe, at UCLA ended up being the offensive lineman of the year in that conference. So definitely some positives here. Now, there was one thing that did stand out in terms of way back when. I think he did receive some type of show cause, something like that, for paying. I guess he was paying maybe some recruits to do some type of training or something like that. I don't know, but will not have an effect on him right now, and that's the most important thing. And if you guys are wondering, he wouldn't be the first person here, not even Jeremy Pruitt, but Tosh Lupoy, who was my position coach. He had a similar deal when he came here to be an analyst. Well, I think the reason he had, some availability was because he was let go from his position at, I think, maybe Washington. Anyway, one of his previous stops for something similar. He got in trouble with some recruiting violation and so forth. So it's not uncommon to have somebody that might have something like that either. So don't worry about that piece. As in the past, doesn't really make a huge difference. nowadays, at least, because all that is done and over with. But Reed, Chase, you guys have seen the hire. Anything that stands out to you while I pull up this quick clip of him doing a press conference?
No, I don't think anything's really stuck out. I just think that I guess what the person that was mentioning Saban was really saying, and I can kind of agree with it, is because of no matter who Saban hired, because of his success that he had, the fans would be okay with it. But now that, Kalen DeBoer is not winning national championships, is what I'm hearing, they're going to kind of question the hire at first. And I mean, I think that's, I think it's reasonable in general to question it until we see, like you said, in spring ball, like how are we looking, like offensive line wise, as well as the running game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say this. I mean, I think it's okay for people to have question marks with who you hire. I mean, especially, well, let's just talk about it. I mean, like over the last 2 years, the offensive line play, the running game, it's been underwhelming and they've underperformed. I mean, that's just a fact. So I don't know if it necessarily has something to do with Coach Saban. I hear what you're saying. People normally trusted Coach Saban's hires if that's the angle people are going off of. But I mean, could you blame them though? I mean, like look at who he hired. He hired Kirby Smart. He hired Mario Cristobal. He hired Dan Lanning as an analyst. He hired Tosh Lupoy. He hired I'm drawing a blank on what's his name. Golly, man. Mel Tucker. Who else went on to be head coaches? You get what I'm saying? So like, how could you not really trust what the man was doing when he literally had like the coaching staff that I had in 2015? Billy Napier, forgot to throw that one in there. Virtually almost every on-field assistant went on to be a head coach. And, Kirby has won national championships. Mario Cristobal just played for one. Signetti, who I wasn't with, just went on to win one. I mean, the playoff consisted of all his former. So, I mean, if people have a lot of confidence. Oh, yeah, Lane Kiffin. Thank you, Gary. I knew I was forgetting one. If people have a lot of confidence in who Coach Saban hired, I think it makes total sense. And I don't think it's necessarily a shot at DeBoer, but I mean, he's only been here 2 years. And, if you look at who he hired, so he retained Gillespie and Freddie Roach from Saban's staff. Then he brought over a bulk of his coaches from Washington. Then he made some hires outside of it, like Coach Cap, Hitchler, who he let go after the first season. Kane Womack, who he spent time with. And look, I mean, like, I think if you're looking at it through 2 years, I mean, I don't think, Jamarcus Shepard came with him. He ended up getting a head coaching job. So he's brought over some good coaches and hired some folks too, but it's still very early, right, to try to stack that up to maybe what some of these coaches went on to do that were a part of same staff. But so maybe that's why they bring it up. Me personally, that didn't even cross my mind. If anything, my thing would be, okay, if people have doubts, maybe it's just because they're a little on edge. Right? I mean, granted, we've done in year 2, we've done some good things under Coach DeBoer, but there's also been some cause of concern. I mean, if you're just being honest with yourself, you can see that, right? And it's just like, for example, like Ryan Grubb. You hire Ryan Grubb, and I know Smitty's going to be like, oh, I hate to be this guy, but I told you so. But because when he was saying everybody should pump the brakes on Grubb, and I listen, I thought Grubb coming back could have been one of the best things for this offense, given that, hey, I was hearing the noise about Seattle, but I also saw what they did in Washington in 2023, and to me, it felt like Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb was kind of like Batman and Robin. I'm like, all right, maybe that's the missing piece of this offense needed. Plus, we talked about the fit, quarterback, maybe that true passer, maybe not so much of a dual threat like Jalen was, even though Jalen was phenomenal in so many ways, maybe not the best fit. I would have guessed that, hey, everything this past season would have come together and this offense would have been much different. But then when you have those pieces come together and the offense gets worse, I can understand why people are a little hesitant or have some concerns. I think that's totally warranted if you ask me. So listen, I still think, like I said, the best approach is the wait and see approach. And that's what we've always tried to preach on here. Even when they first started hiring, DeBoer and his staff, and everybody was upset. Well, my dad was a little bit more like, oh, I'm not that impressed with this hire. I think you guys understand now, sometimes when you still are kind of stuck in like the Saban dynasty era where you just expect every move is going to be the best move, you get hit with some disappointment sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's a good point in the comments section. To be fair, even Saban wanted to hire Grubb. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, Grubb is a good football coach. I mean, there's a reason that he was highly touted, years ago when everybody, even I think Kirby Smart even pursued him. Like, I mean, he's a good football coach. It's just through his first year in Tuscaloosa, then his last season that he had before in the NFL, he's had a pair of years that haven't been his best work, and he's just got to dig deep and find out the fix, right? And that's what everybody's hoping for. But I think until we see some positives or some things that give us more confidence, I think it's very fair if fans have a little bit of reserve right now. Even with a guy like this, like I said, who I've talked to, again, I reached out to J.C. Hassenauer, who is a teammate of mine here. He went on to play for the Steelers several years. He was with Coach Klemm. He said, man, Coach Clem's my guy, great coach. I mean, he had nothing but positive to say about him. So, I mean, everything I've heard, I feel good about it. And I'm going to pull up a little bit of a snippet of this press conference. But first, let me hit this break real quick. That way I can pinpoint exactly, because when we come back at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by Clint Lamb, who, let's just say he's done his homework, man. So he'll have even more facts for you guys in terms of Adrien Clem and his background and what all he's done prior to his most recent stop here in Tuscaloosa. So we'll do that all coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform dry. Now that you mentioned previous coaches, I think you guys, former players, should push KD for Jeremy Pruitt. Oh, dang. Hold on. All right. Well, JC just texted me, and because he's got something that he's doing right now, but I'll read you guys. Well, he sent me something to basically like to relay to you guys, so I'll read that when we come back. Which is good insight, man. Good insight. All right, that'd be good. Somebody mentioned Najee. I mean, I could try to text Najee, but all right, good deal. Let me pull up I'm gonna try to find this one part of this interview. He just was talking about kind of his philosophy. I don't know where it went though. I meant to save it, but I think when I shut my computer down, it got rid of the tab. Where did it go, man? There was one at Oregon, and there's one when he was talking about the guy they drafted. Let's see. I think it might be this one. Let's see. I gotta find this part. I can't remember exactly where it was at. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're talking Adrien Clem, the latest hire by Coach DeBoer in Alabama, replacing Coach Cap as offensive line coach. Not sure if they're going to add run game coordinator to his title. I don't think we had anybody designated as a run game coordinator, but wouldn't be a bad idea, in my opinion, just to have some, another set of ears and eyes in that room. All right, so I reached out to, again, J.C. Hassenauer. You guys know J.C., former Alabama offensive lineman. He played center here, went on to play, I think maybe 6 years in the league. He played with Pittsburgh under Coach Klemm, played for the Giants as well. I think the Falcons also. But I reached out to J.C. He can't jump on right now. He's got something he's attending. But he did send me a message that he said I could relay to you guys in terms of just his experience with Coach Klemm. And so this is what J.C. Hassenauer, former Alabama offensive lineman and Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman, had to say about his former position coach in Pittsburgh. He said, he's a great coach. He played and coached at a high level. I learned a ton from him on technique, and he is probably the best at breaking down pass rushers. Great developmental coach for younger guys, really good recruiter, understands the game from the player and coach perspective. So really high praise from a former Alabama offensive lineman and former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman, J.C. Hassenauer, who played for Coach Klemm. And that was him following up when I talked to him yesterday, just him saying that's his guy, great coach. And, again, nothing but positive to say about him. So if you're wondering from a player perspective, how was Coach Klemm as a coach? JC's words are actually really impressive. To me, that makes me feel good because he mentioned a couple things that were big. He said he's a great developmental coach for younger guys. We're talking about an offensive line that consists of pretty much nothing but young players right now. That gives me a lot of confidence because what we talk about, yes, the guys who got in the portal, they're young, they've got potential, but it's going to be critical that they are developed correctly, and that way they have the best shot at being the best players that they can be, especially this upcoming season, because we know how big it will be for us. He checks that box. JC mentioned he's a great recruiter and also understands the game from a player and coach perspective. That, to me, that was one of the main things I mentioned. When you hire a guy like this, obviously I'm going to have some former player bias, but I promise it's not just that. I really just understand from when I've had coaches that have played the game and I've had coaches that hadn't played the game. And 9 times out of 10, you relate so much more to the guy that played the game because he's done it. He's been there. He's done what you want to do, right? And so when you're hearing it from him, you're just a lot more receptive to it. I hate to say it like that. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not talking about head coaches or really coordinators. I'm talking about like position coaches specifically. When you have a guy that has done it before, it just seems like they can get even more out of their players. So he checks that box. And there's another interesting note that JC said. He's probably one of the best, or he said he's probably the best when it comes to breaking down pass rushers. That's an interesting piece there. It's no different. Like I always give credit, like Tosh Lupoy, who was my position coach. Technically, Tosh played, I think, defensive end at Washington or wherever he went to school. Maybe played at Cal, I think. But long story short, when it came to pass rush, I mean, Tosh, we were so good in terms of pass rush when he was here because he had so much attention to detail to breaking down tackles and their sets and, our counters, what to work off of and all the drills that we did are always were very, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's so much carryover with the way, everything we did was intentional. And it sounds like this is kind of that deal with him when he's talking about breaking down pass rushers, right? It's similar to what I experienced when I had Tosh as my coach and we would break down tackles. And it helped prepare us because we would sit there, we would spend a portion of our time in the meeting room watching tape on offensive tackles who we would be facing. That way, when we get in the game, it's not like we're just like, oh, we're just going out there throwing moves, trying to run. No, bend corners. No, I mean, we had a game plan. Like, hey, this guy, he's a quick setter. He's going to jump set you. All right, when he jump sets, you got to be ready to go quick hands. He's a soft setter. Speed to power is going to be, ideal in this matchup. You're getting that kind of deal out of this guy. So that to me is also very encouraging. And he also mentioned the technique standpoint. He's big on technique and just listening to him in some of these interviews that I've heard, that was a common theme, talking about, refining tools, playing with good technique. And that's kind of how I would imagine, former offensive line player as a coach would be. So again, if you guys are looking for some encouraging words and just perspectives on this hire, I think that's probably some of the best stuff I've heard from JC because he played for the guy, and I trust JC. JC doesn't just he's an honest man, so he wouldn't lie to us. So I appreciate him getting back with us. Real quick before we hit this top of the hour break, here's a quick little snippet of just Coach Klemm talking. This was when he was at Oregon. I think he's just talking about. I think they're maybe it was around springtime. I'm not sure, but I just want to play a little bit of a sound bite. So here's Coach Klemm during his time at Oregon.
Hey, Christian, I don't think the audio is coming through on us.
Oh, is it not playing for you guys?
I haven't heard anything.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, let me see. I don't know. Maybe it's not. All right. Well, we'll go to that in a second. It says muted. Yeah, that's weird. The audio shouldn't be muted because it's on the thing. Well, let me see if I can figure that part out. I don't know if it's part of the stream or what. Well, I'll get that playing here in a moment. But anyway, he's basically was talking about his time at UCLA and just, they didn't have the ability to do the whole redshirt thing. Now that they do, when he goes on to talk about just getting his guys, acclimated and coaching them up and all that good stuff. But I don't know why exactly that didn't work. Let me try to remove it and put it back on. Then let me know if you guys can read. Tell me like ASAP if you can hear this or not.
Nope.
Still can't hear. All right. So he just was talking about getting his guys corrected. We'll get the stream corrected here in a minute. But anyway, basically when you hear him talk, I mean, he talks a lot about fundamentals and technique, a lot about playing with physicality. Comes off as a very, high IQ guy. I think it lines up with kind of how JC was describing him, playing and coaching at a very high level. That's kind of the vibe he gives. And the reason I, describe it like that is because you got some coaches that tend to be guys that they do a lot of the rah-rah stuff. They're talking a whole bunch, and they're more of like the hype guys, which that's great. And you definitely need some of that. But I also like hearing coaches that they're intentional with what they're doing. They're not just yelling just to yell or doing things. They're actually teachers. And again, I haven't met him. I'm just going off of what my former teammate has told me and what I'm hearing from him. But he kind of gives me the vibe that he's a teacher, right? That's what JC said, and that's how he sounds. Like he wants to teach the game. He wants to teach fundamentals. I'm sure he'll jump on his guys too. I'm sure there's probably some clips so we can probably see him in action coaching to see kind of how he gets down. But I like this though, because again, I'm thinking about what this offensive line needs, and they need to be refined. They need to have, a coach that can develop them, that can teach them, the ins and outs, the whys of what they're doing. And he just strikes me as that type of guy. So again, I'm just going off of what I'm hearing and what people have told me. But so far, I like it, and I'm excited to see him work this spring, and hopefully we get to do that here soon. I mean, it's already near in February. Reed, Chase, do you guys know when spring ball officially starts? I mean, I feel like it's not too far out. I mean, it's got to be in March because the A-Day game, I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. That would be in April. I would imagine we're probably, maybe a month out from spring ball. Do you guys know the schedule? Have they even announced anything like that or no?
I haven't seen anything announced, but that sounds like, at least schedule-wise, that sounds about right.
Somebody says March 9th here in the chat. So that would put us at about a little over 5 weeks or so, maybe a month and a half out. It'll be here before we know it. And once we kind of get rolling with that, all these pieces will start falling into place and we can really start forming some better opinions. But that's what I got for you guys right now. Big shout out again to JC Hassenhauer giving us that little nugget on Coach Klemm. But again, for anybody just tuned in or missed it, this is what JC had to say before we hit this top of the hour break. And we'll be joined by Clint Lamb here in about 2 minutes when we come back. Played and coached at a high level. Learned a lot from him based off of the technique that he taught. And he's probably the best at breaking down pass rushers, which will be huge for our guys in pass pro. Great developmental coach for younger guys. Big check mark there. Really good recruiter, understands the game from the player and coach perspective. All things that I love to hear, man. So again, that was from JC Hassenhauer, former Alabama offensive line player and former Steeler, where he was coached by Coach Klemm. So really, really cool nugget right there. We got to hit the top of the hour break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Clint Lamb. He's going to discuss this in even more detail, and we'll keep on rolling. Want to hear from you guys as well after that. 205-342-9904 is the number if you guys want to jump on the phone lines. We're going to open those up when we finish up with Clint right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
All right, so I have 50 days or so. Clint will be on the phone, Reed. You can call him. If you don't, I can send you his contact stuff, but I think you guys have it already. Appreciate that, Keith. Yeah, I always try. If there's any connections, man, I'm always like, man, I want to hear from people that actually can speak on these people. Mention pass blocking, nothing on run blocking. Well, I think that kind of just falls in the when he talks about learn a ton from him on technique. You get what I'm saying? JC mentioned the pass blocking because he said he's the best at breaking down pass rushers. You get what I'm saying? Like you don't break down individuals really in the run game. Like there's not really like techniques that you're going to be breaking down like, hey, he's this type of run defender. That we don't do that. But you do in pass rush, you do that. So meaning like, hey, this guy's a speed to power guy. This guy's a speed off the edge. He likes it. This is his fastball move that he likes to throw a lot. This is his counter move. He's susceptible to this. Those types of things. But like in terms of like breaking down like defenders against the run, it's a lot more surface level. I mean, we're talking maybe, hey, he struggles to set the edge type deal. You know what I mean? So that's probably why but I get what you're saying though. When you first hear, you're like, hey, well, he mentioned pass pro. He didn't really mention, but I think that's what he was referencing when he was just talking about technique. Because at the end of the day, I mean, run blocking, it really comes down to physicality and just, playing with your technique, right? Your technique and fundamentals. Pass pro is a little bit different because pass pro is almost like a chess game between a pass rusher and the offensive lineman, especially the tackles, right? There's like an art to pass rush. It's a lot different, run, in the run game, it's just how you be physical, get push, play with good technique, hat on the hat across when you need to, proper footwork, hands inside, driving your feet, combo blocks, climbing. That's all technique and fundamental based. And then you got to have the physicality aspect. But pass pro is like we can actually break down where, all right, I got this type of rusher. This is how I'm going to set. Or I'm going to flash my hands because I know if I flash my hands, he's going to throw a move. Now I can grab him. You know what I mean? Like run blocking, it's just kind of like, all right, we got a combo block here. We know our steps for that. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Anything else, guys, we need to ask Clint about while we got him on here? I know we're going to ask him about Coach Klemm. Anything else you guys want us to ask Clint? I know I always ask you that, and I don't normally I'm not normally able to get to a bunch of questions, but today we probably can get to some of y'all's questions for him if wait, dang. Coach Dunbar didn't get retained by the Steelers. That's kind of crazy, man. Coach Dunbar is a great defensive line coach. Has he gotten sleep? I think we're still waiting. Well, to answer your question, Jake, I don't think he picked up the first ring or two. So I don't know. Maybe he's getting his sleep now. Maybe he fell asleep because he's been staying up so much. Players to watch this year as breakout players. Good question. We'll hit that. Let's do this, Reed. Let's because I don't think he texted me. Hope everything's good. Let's do this. We can come We can come back to radio real quick, I guess. We can keep on rolling, and then when he gets on, I guess maybe try calling him in like 5 minutes or something. He might be tied up doing something. But I'll shoot him a text though, just to see maybe. Yeah, let me before you call him again, let me shoot him a text just to make sure he's still good. Something might have come up though. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to reach out to Clint real quick to make sure he's still good to go. All right, we'll come back here. Yeah, you got Pats versus Seahawks. You got a bunch of Bama guys playing in the game. Sucks, man, because only one team can win. Only one team can win. I can't believe they didn't retain Coach Dunbar though, man. That's going to be interesting to see where he lands.
Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Real quick, just to recap what we've been talking about. We talked a little bit about the whole Bediako thing, with where that stands right now. Another restraining order, meaning he's got another 10 days. He will play tonight. We'll play against Florida, which their coach was definitely talking some noise. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And as it stands right now, NCAA is trying to get that judge to recuse themselves. I don't know what's going to happen from that, but we hit on that. We've been talking about Coach Clem, Adrien Clem, officially being named the offensive line coach here at the University of Alabama. I'm not sure what the plans are regarding the tight end position, because that still is available right now. And also there's been word that maybe they could take the two-man route in terms of the offensive line room. So we'll have to see. But right now, this is a big update. Adrien Clem being hired, and we've gone into great depth about the hire, the best that we can. And like I said, I always just want to be straight up with you guys. I mean, it's hard for me to even with any research or people I talk to, sit here and to tell you guys that it's going to be a home run type deal. It's going to work perfect. I can't say all that, but I can say from everything that we've gathered, from what I've looked into, from asking some of my former teammates, their thoughts on them who have played for them, we got nothing but encouraging things. And I think it could be a really good hire, and I'm excited to see how the process plays out. We normally are joined by Clint at the top of the hour, but I'm not sure. He might have ran into something. So we'll keep you guys updated if we do, in fact, get Clint on today. Worst case, we will slide it back to maybe tomorrow or whenever he gets another opportunity. But looks like Dwight just tagged us in something, and it looks like it's an interview about Coach Clem. I know I was just trying to play that one, but let me see if I can play this one, see if this one works here. I'll share it with you guys right here. So let's see if we can hear from Coach Clem. This is during his time at UCLA, but he's talking about his offensive line. Let's see if this works.
Nope.
Is the sound working for you guys? Reed, is it good?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh man, we still that's weird. That's live radio for you. All right, so we'll try to keep working on that. I don't know why I would be doing that. I guess we could go old school. We could do like when you had to record ringtones. I could play it on my phone and just play it through the microphone. That would be a little ratchet, but anyway, I don't know. We'll figure it out at some point. I don't know Reed, do you want to try playing it on your end? I know you could probably do that. So maybe you could.
What's the video?
Yeah, so maybe let me see if I can send it to you. But it's try to search it first. It says Adrien Clem talks about the line, and it's posted by UCLA Athletics, and it's going to be on YouTube. So if you could, it's only 3 minutes. You could pull that up. That'd be awesome. It looks a little grainy. I'm not gonna lie. It makes you realize, man, time does fly. Because this was probably when he was at UCLA. It was around the time I just got to school. I feel like the video quality was a little bit better than this, though. I mean, we can't be that far removed from 2012, 2013. Matter of fact, I was like a junior in high school, I think, man. Maybe we are getting old. Just tell me when you got it. But he's wearing a UCLA hoodie. It's got the gold text, navy blue, and he's standing with the individual to his right. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I think I have it. Just give me about 30 seconds here.
All right, good deal. Technology does move fast, brother. You're right. I appreciate you guys being patient. But anyway, we're trying to hear from Coach Klemm himself. Now I know you guys asked, hey, well, could we get him on? I don't even think they've officially announced him as the next line coach. I'm talking about like the university. So that's not going to work, unfortunately. We could see if Courtney Morgan would want to jump on, but I can just tell you guys, I mean, he probably would jump on, but last time I talked to him about jumping on, he don't really like being in the spotlight. I think that's kind of what he at least told me. So I don't know. We'll probably we'll let him vibe.
Christian,
but
I got it ready whenever you're ready.
Yeah, all right, Reed has it ready. So let's hear from Dwight. This better be good because Dwight, you sent this to us, and so I'm assuming it's a good little clip. So let's hear from Coach Adrien Clem. This is during his time at UCLA.
Well, it is a football Wednesday. Ralph Irvin out here on Spalding Field. I'm actually lucky to be joined by UCLA offensive line coach Adrien Clem. And coach, last week, great win at Utah, but obviously a tough situation on the offensive line with Torian White going down. But you made adjustments during the game because you had the depth to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we have the depth, in terms of numbers, we have good numbers, but in terms of quality depth, not there yet, just not because there's a lack of effort, but just there's some guys that need to mature a little bit in terms of their football knowledge. And but the guys that got in there, they gave their all and they worked as hard as they could to get the job done.
When a situation like that occurs, I mean, what goes through your brain in terms of, kind of moving the pieces around to make them work?
We practice out here, and the guys that get the reps in practice are the guys that are going to play in the game and potentially play. So those guys prepared to the best that we can prepare them, in the short period that we've had them, and just go in there and just hope that they retain all the things that they worked on throughout the week and they keep their composure in adverse situations.
Now you come into practice this week, and unfortunate news of Torian being out for the year, and now you adjust the game plan really for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, but things like that happen. We may lose another one during the season. Last year, we played with 6 guys for almost the entire season. So it's not something that we haven't been through before. It's tough having 2 true freshmen play, but we had 3 freshmen playing last year, 3 freshmen and a sophomore that, hadn't played football in 2 years. So it's not something that's new to us. It just makes us a little more mentally tougher, and guys have to be a little more focused.
Is there anything that you can do to help freshmen get ready at maybe an accelerated pace?
Just tons of reps, not treat them like freshmen, expedite the maturation process. And the only way to do that is get a ton of class work in with them and give them as many reps as possible next to each other so they get used to playing next to one another.
And how do these guys kind of take in the information? Because I know everyone kind of brings it in differently.
Yeah, I mean, they're swimming. Different guys learn in different ways. One of them, Alex is a guy that has to physically go out there and do it. Caleb is one of the guys that learns better off the board, and just you figure out the way that they learn best, and then you focus on that. And then we get on the field, we just get a lot of repetitions in practice. It's so much different walking through things and doing on the board. We want to have it where it's live, and you can do it all you want in practice, but you really don't get to see what they're really made of or how they can respond to things until they're live bullets. And then that's on game day.
And then how much does it help to have someone like X on the field, just kind of, reminding guys of little issues as a game goes on or even as practice goes on?
Well, it helps, and this past game was unique because there wasn't anybody to help. They're kind of on their own. They couldn't really hear anything like that. But I thought for what the conditions were, I thought they did pretty well, and they responded admirably. They weren't nervous going into the game. Well, he wasn't nervous, Caleb. I mean, we're talking about one guy. But, there's no nervousness. And I know that Connor McDermott's ready if his number got called. So this game, I don't know if we'll play 1 or we'll play 2 guys. It just depends on how the game is going. But I have the utmost confidence that they'll go out there and perform to the best of their abilities.
All right. Well, thanks again for the time, and good luck heading into the game against Cal.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. That's
All right. So that was a little snippet from Adrien Clem during his time at UCLA, just kind of getting some insight on, who he is as a person, as a football coach, some of his philosophies. And as you can hear, same kind of deal. I hadn't watched that video, and so I just did with you guys. I'd watched one from Oregon, but very similar, thought process, very articulate, the way he describes things. It seems very much like he mentioned, reps based and technique and fundamental based. So which I like. I'm telling you, I think that's what we need. Because if you go back and look, I mean, like last season, we had decent players up front. I mean, you got a guy at left tackle in Caden Proctor who he had his weaknesses. He was susceptible to speed off the edge, but he also is going to be, a top draft pick this upcoming season, Parker Brailsford, who I thought was one of the best, if not the best center in college football. You had a number of pieces, right? And I just feel like they were lacking, especially like the fundamental and technique side of things. They also needed to play much more physical. But Coach Cap, he was a yeller. I mean, he jumped those guys. He got on them. I mean, sometimes you can't really coach physicality, but what you can coach is getting guys to take the right steps, to do the right movements, right? Playing with the right fundamentals to give themselves the best chance to have success. And I don't know. That's just the vibe I get from him. We could be wrong. I can't predict the future, but everything I get from him just sounds pretty encouraging. So good deal there. We're still waiting to hear back from Clint. Haven't heard from him, so we might not be able to get him on today. Worst case, we'll try to do it tomorrow. Play catch up a little bit if we have to, but we'll hit a timeout right now. That being said, we'll go ahead and open up the phone lines, 205-342-9904. If anybody wants to dive in to the conversation, offer your thoughts, man. We'll love to hear from you right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
So,
offensive line was out of shape and overweight. How much is that on strength and conditioning? Yeah, I talk about them a lot. I'll be honest. I don't think that's the biggest issue personally. I really don't. Now, if you want to talk about, now I'll compare the difference between like from a physical standpoint. I think probably what they do is probably better suited, in today's day and age for, playing football, maybe in terms of the sport-specific things that we probably didn't do as much of, a little bit more on the traditional side of things. I mean, if you want to argue that, Coach Cochran with that, he was basically just the life of the team, right, in terms of his influence, instilling and, drilling into our head, the whole fourth quarter mindset, bigger, badder, faster, tougher than everybody type deal. But I've seen the way these guys work. I mean, the stuff they do in the weight room is, it's very, very good work. Yeah, I'll keep you posted, Reed. I hadn't heard back from him, so he might have had something come up. But yeah, in terms of strength stuff, listen, I don't think that's the biggest issue. Listen, Caden Proctor, one of the strongest dudes on that team, without a doubt. Jaden Roberts, one of the strongest dudes on the team. There's a lot of strong guys on that offensive line. Dewberry was a big physical guy. But from a technique standpoint, they weren't probably where they needed to be. They didn't play with the right consistency, I should say. I'll just let this run in the background. Screw it. That was the biggest issue, honestly, for me. I know people immediately they put 2 and 2 like, hey, we're not getting great push. These guys maybe they're not strong. It's not that, but you'd be surprised. You could have one of the strongest players. You could go get yourself a bodybuilder who could outlift anybody on this football team, and I guarantee you, with them not knowing proper mechanics and fundamentals and technique, it wouldn't matter. We had a walk-on one year that was arguably like the biggest, most jacked dude we probably had on our football team. And all due respect, I'm not saying any names. He was the worst football player I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not exaggerating. He was terrible. He played D-line, and this dude looked like Ronnie Coleman or something, to the point where Coach Cochran told him he could no longer do extra lifts. They literally kicked him out from doing extra lifts because all he did was just sit there and lift weights all the time. But when I tell you he was so stiff, he was the stiffest player I've ever seen, and he was just bad at football, man. And none of that translated to the football field. None of it. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. I think we might have to push Clint to another day. Might have something come up, which is no big deal. We'll try to do that, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. But real quick, I got to remind you, I haven't done it yet. If you haven't already, we got 150 people live on our YouTube stream. I think like 50 likes. If you haven't, man, let's see if we can get that like number up to 100. It should be easy to do. We got triple the people in here to the number of likes. So if you guys don't mind, it takes 2 seconds. Just hit that like button real quick. We definitely appreciate all of you guys' support. It helps keep everything free, man. No subscriptions, nothing like that. Just hit the like button, subscribe, and we keep on rolling. That said, let's keep on talking about this conversation right here. I got a couple other things I'll throw at you, but we got a good question from Jake while we're talking about offensive linemen, and we were talking about strength and conditioning, how that translates, and it may or may not. Jake asked, do you think Proctor playing early hurt his development? That's a good question. I'll say this. I don't think it hurt his development. I mean, it definitely hurt his confidence some. If you've heard him talk about this, he's mentioned it, that it really affected him, hearing the external noise and all the criticism that he faced, especially, his freshman year. He got thrown into that fire, and we all know how that went. He had a pretty tough freshman campaign. But listen, I mean, what do you expect when you throw a true freshman out there that physically he might look ready, but there's a big difference between looking ready and actually being ready. So on one end, I definitely think that's a fair question. But I don't think it necessarily hurt his development. I think it hurt his confidence, which probably kind of affected his development a little bit. But I think it ended up working itself out, if that makes sense. I definitely think, at other positions like quarterback, we all know it could be detrimental to a young quarterback's career if you throw him in that fire too early, really any position. And I think it almost affected him. And I think it's a great question, Jake. But I think ultimately, it's really about how the player responds. I mean, just like we heard Coach Klemm in this clip that's running on the stream, throwing guys in that fire, it's just like, throw a kid in the pool. Eventually, they'll probably learn how to swim, right? It's going to be tough, and it might be daunting, and depending on how they respond, I mean, if it scares the hell out of them, they might not want to do it. It might run them off, but a lot of other people tend to adapt, and they figure out a way. But really good question. But in terms of him specifically, I don't think it necessarily hurt his development, but I guess it probably affected it, but I don't think it completely tarnished it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But really good question. Let's see what else we got in here because we're about to go to the phone lines. Yeah, I think it depends on the individual as well. I mean, I think some people definitely can it's a big shot at their confidence and it throws them off, but others, I think they learn to figure it out and they grow from it. So let's see. Look at Kelty, who played center for Jalen Hurts. Dude was not the biggest at his position. He was a football player who played with an understanding of with each player required. Yeah, 100%. And Parker Brailsford kind of gives me vibes like a Jason Kelce, a little bit undersized, but good athlete, plays with really good technique. Those guys kind of remind me of each other. 205-342-9904. Let's go to the phone lines. We've got George up first. George, welcome in.
Hey there, Christian. Thanks for taking my call. A couple of comments.
Absolutely.
One on the basketball, Bediako. My feeling is I don't like that system, but I don't see anything wrong if it's legal to bring him in. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, before college sports really changed, it would really bother me. But nowadays, with so much going on, with the NIL and the transfer portal and this, that, and the other, it's just another day in the park, the way I see it. And having a judge it that was a booster, that judge is going to go by the law. That's just another stalling technique by the NCAA. And it, like I say, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I can remember 4 or 5 years ago, Christian, when I was listening to your show, and it was the first time somebody was going to give somebody $1 million as a high school product to play in college. And you laughed at it and said, that'll never happen. Giving somebody $1 million that's never played before, it'll never happen. And you laughed it off. And now look at it 5 or 6 years later. It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
And as far as our offensive line coach, yesterday you said it was probably a surprise the coach Cap to be fired. I don't see how that could be when you're historically low as far as our running game. And I'm agreeable to you. Coach Grubb has a lot to do with it. And if he had not have been a choice for Nick Saban a couple of years prior to that. I mean, the only reason I wanted Scrub was because Saban wanted him. But now, this coming year, if things don't improve or the players don't show improvement, that's the thing that gets me. The players from game one to their last game showed no improvement whatsoever. And that is a very telling sign, a very bad sign. If you don't improve,
Did we lose him? Reed?
No, he still should be on.
I can't hear him. Is he?
Yeah,
is
I
he,
can hear you. George,
I'm sorry. Do you hear
there
me
we
now?
Yeah, okay, there we go. I got you.
To
now.
a bad area.
Oh, go ahead. You're
Yeah, I
fine.
mean, don't you think it's showing no improvement whatsoever? That is a really telling sign on your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned yesterday. I think this is step one to helping find a solution for the problem that we've had. Which again, I mean, I'm not saying that some of these problems have been existing. Right now, they've gotten worse. I mean, you're right. This past year was historically a bad year in terms of running the football. There's no doubt about it. And let me just be completely straight up. So when I said part of me is not surprised, and for this reason, right? I mean, the last 2 years our offensive line hasn't played great, but the reason I said it was part of a surprise is it was more so the timing of it. And if I'm being honest with you, he probably was a little bit surprised himself. I don't want to say too much, but I'm just being straight up with you. There wasn't a true decision made, at least not until very recently. And I'm not going into too much detail, but I'm just telling you, like, there's a reason the guy was still recruiting and doing all the things he was asked. I understand he still was being paid, but
right,
you get what I'm saying? So that's why it was a little bit of a surprise. Not too much of like yes, like in terms of their performance and how things have gone. No, it's not a surprise at all. I think it's very expected that he would be the first person they're going to point the finger at, even though I also know that the offensive coordinator shares probably just as much of the blame for the issues that we've seen, if not more. However, I know how this thing works, but again, just knowing what I know that I'm not going to sit here and say publicly, it was a little bit of a surprise. And then your other point, though, about I think like with Grubb and all that. Listen, it's going to be hard for any offensive line coach to be able to do his best job when there's not even a true commitment to the running game. I mean, you heard from Mike Johnson, a former offensive lineman here, All-American. Without you having the consistency and the commitment, it's hard for guys to get that rhythm going. And like the running game is it's impacted by rhythm, momentum, and more and more reps, especially like during a football game. You can't expect to just run the ball 13 to 15 times very inconsistently and expect those guys to be firing on all cylinders and have all be in sync and you being very effective. You get what I'm saying? So that's why part of me is like,
yes,
man,
I do.
Right. I'm not saying Coach Cap couldn't have done more, because he's also accountable and holds his portion of the blame. But I just feel like right now there's just so much attention only on him, when the root of it really is probably more so of the system / the coordinator. That's really the true root. But the offensive line coach, he also is accountable. But to me, like if that's not addressed, if the true root is not addressed, I don't know how much of a difference we'll see. You'll probably see some type of difference, 100%. Don't get me wrong, personnel changes and new coach, but it's not ever going to be at its full, I guess, potential unless you truly fix the root.
Well, Christian, really our running game, our dependability on the running game really started decreasing when Bryce Young became quarterback, because he was so good with the whole passing game that really I'm sure the opposing team thought, man, if they run the ball, that's really good for us, the defensive thought. Because, I mean, every time, Bryce went out there and passed, I mean, it was very successful. And that left, the dominance on the running game to be depleted or less. But I guess what I'm thinking is this on the running game. When you saw the running game, first off, we had running backs missed the hole. instead of going on the inside, they went to the outside. They went towards the tackler instead of away from them. But what got me was there many times the defense would establish the line of scrimmage a foot or two behind our offensive line of scrimmage, and that is on a lot of that is on our offensive line. And what made it really worse, you made the point, we had an All-American at center and a first-round draft choice at left tackle, but I never did see their technique get better. I mean, the edge rusher would always run around Proctor, and I thought, my goodness, guy, your footwork has got to get quicker and got to get better, but it never did. And when you have an offensive center like we had an All-American, I mean, he's kind of the communication point, and communication on the offensive line never got better.
Right.
And I mean, there are a lot of things that are to blame, but unfortunately for the offensive line coach, he's the point. And,
right.
He gets a lot of the praise and a lot of, you got to get going. And if if he didn't know, I know what you said, but he had to have a feeling that if things don't get better quickly, I'm out of here. Same thing with the board. If we have 3 games like we did against Florida State, SEC championship game, and the Illinois Indiana game, if we have 3 more games like that, he's got to feel a tremendous amount of pressure if he doesn't feel it now. And that's my thoughts. And nobody's a better Alabama fan than myself. And I hate getting rid of coaches. And what that means is you made a bad hire to begin with, and I don't like that look. And that's kind of my comment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm with you with what you're excuse me, I can't speak with what you're saying, but like I said, I wish I could go into more detail. I just can't. I wish I could, but yeah, without a doubt, he felt
I understand.
pressure. Yeah, without a doubt, he did feel pressure. But I'll just put it like this: when you're told one thing or not told something, and then it kind of comes out of nowhere, that's just, I mean, that's kind of what I'm going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, but you're right in terms of fundamentals and technique. I do feel like that struggled. We didn't improve a lot, and that's why, again, I think this could be. And listen, there's sometimes you just need to part ways. It just doesn't work out, and I feel like that's kind of probably how this whole thing went. And I think Coach Klemm maybe
Hopefully
could be a guy.
Wake-up call for the whole team.
Yeah, and I mean it definitely. And I'll say this: I mean, there's going to be some more changes too with the staff. I mean, not dive into too much detail. There'll be more changes, and not necessarily some crazy change like maybe y'all are hoping, like a coordinator per se. But there'll be some more changes and stuff and whatnot. But that said, no, listen, I think sometimes you just got to get the right fit, and maybe Clem can be a better fit. And I just think his background should be very beneficial. Plus, like I said, we talked with one of his former players, a former Alabama player, J.C. Hassenauer, who had nothing but positives to say from his experiences with them. So I'm optimistic about it, but I still am a little reserved just because I know there's more to the root of the issue that needs to be addressed, and hopefully that also is being addressed, not just one part of it, because I think everything needs to be addressed if you really want the best chances to improve in that area. But George, we got to hit this time out, man. Really good stuff.
Okay. I liked your clip. He was very articulate, and he expressed himself very well.
Yeah, no, he did, man. I think he does come off as one of those coaches that he's not just going to yell at you. He's going to probably break it down exactly why you're doing what you're doing and how you can improve and little small details. That's what I'm getting from him. That's just the kind of the vibe that I get listening to him speak in terms of his philosophy and how he coaches his guys up, which is good. I'm excited for. But George, we appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Great stuff as always.
You too. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Man, I sounded like who's that cartoon character? I stuttered bad for a second, guys. I couldn't get the words out. But that's all, folks. Is it Bugs Bunny? I don't know. All right, we got to hit a timeout. Yeah, is it Bugs Bunny, man? That's just showing my age, man. But yeah, I felt like Bugs Bunny for a second. I was like, damn, I can't speak, man. Oh, man, I need some water. I'll get in a second. But I'll do that when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Wait, is it Porky Pig? I don't even remember, man. I don't remember. If anything, I didn't really watch Looney Tunes like that. I'm not that old, but it used to come on all the time. I think was it like late at night or something like that? Like real early in the morning. I feel like it used to just be on TV or something. I don't know. Maybe it's the whole Spanish stuff too. Sometimes Spanish, the way you speak is so different with what is it called? Not like linguistics, but like I don't know how to explain, like rolling your R's and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like my tongue and so I get tongue tied. Anyway, how do you think O-line guys we just signed and recruited feel about the hire? Man, that's a good question. I don't want to speak for them just because I hadn't spoken with anybody in that room, but if I had to guess, I think they would be optimistic about it. I know I keep going off the former player approach, but I just genuinely feel that like former players that are coaches, they normally do well. You know, like they typically they relate well with their guys, and guys just have a lot of respect for them. And just listening to him talk again, I mean, let me see. There was probably I think there was a clip of him, you know, actually on the field coaching. Let's see if we can hear him yelling or something. Not that that necessarily matters, but you can just get vibes from coaches by, you know, like hearing them initially. And plus, like I said, the message from JC, I mean, everything he said, he loved the guy. I mean, he sounded like so it sounds to me like he's a player's coach is what I'm getting at. So I would imagine his first interaction with these guys, they're probably going to be excited about it. Hell, I mean, he played in the league. He won 3 Super Bowls. If I was a player in that room, I would be excited about it. But I do know Cap was a really good recruiter. And those, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, they probably, you know, the guys that he brought in were probably really excited. I mean, he did a lot to bring all those guys in here. So it might be kind of, the new guys might be a little thrown off because, I mean, they just literally just got here and they made the change. And I'm just telling you, I don't think they were probably under the impression. No, I don't think. There's no way that they were under the impression that he wasn't going to be their coach because he literally just recruited them to come here. So they might feel a little well, QD, I'm talking about the new guys that he literally just was on the road recruiting, like even like the transfer guys. I get what I'm not talking about the guys that were here last year. I'm talking about the guys that literally just got here. Like they were anticipated him being the coach, hence that's why he was recruiting. They didn't. I'm telling you what I know. They did not recruit those guys saying, "Hey, this is our temporary offensive line coach until we hire the new guy." That wasn't the case. So I don't know. I mean, those guys might feel a little, but I think once they meet this guy, they'll probably like him a lot. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's see what this chat says. Iron sharpens iron. If your offensive line is if your offensive line is soft, your defensive line will be soft. That's why Alabama's defense gets run on. They need to practice against a more physical line. Well, listen, they go against each other. They do, you know, physical work, you know, 11 on 11 and stuff like that. So they do it. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's what made us, you know, really good when we were playing. I mean, going against, you know, an offensive line that consisted of first rounders at tackle and stuff. I mean, that always improved us as a team. So you're right when you say that. But I know some people have a narrative right now that, oh, we don't run the ball in practice enough, or we don't this or that. I'm like, I mean, they practice a lot of that stuff. They do. I mean, that's what practice is for. But they definitely probably need to keep practicing it until they improve. Real quick, got to give a shout out to our friend over at Lamparello Law, our friend Adam, who again is now officially a sponsor here on the show. Education and advocacy is what they do at Lamparello Law, founded by attorney and professor Adam Lamparello. Lamparello Law works with high school, college, and graduate students on academic and career success, providing mentoring, exam and test taking preparation, subject matter mastery, application strategy, personal statements, resume, and long-term academic and professional planning, which, again, we need to get Adam on here to discuss this whole Bediako thing. I'd love to do that soon. Adam also provides legal representation for students, family, and athletes in academic misconduct matters, First Amendment cases, name, image, and likeness for representing his clients with genuine care, passion, and relentless advocacy. If you guys want serious guidance and strong representation from someone who truly has your back, contact Lamparello Law, 201-317-5115. You can email them at adam@lamparello-law.com or visit their website, which should be up soon, lamparello-law.com. And if you forget that info, don't worry. It comes up on the slide. Just look for the Lamparello Law slide, and you'll have all the contact info at the bottom. But again, lamparello-law.com will be the official website once that officially gets going. So shout out to our guy, Adam. We'll get him on here soon. We're going to start talking to him every week. All right, 205-342-9904. We got Duval up next on the phone lines. Welcome in.
Mine right here. What's going on, Chris?
What's up, brother?
Man, over here working, man, freezing my ass off. I busted my ass a few minutes ago, but no. 2 quick points, man. Like, I'm glad that we got a new O-line coach, but are we gonna, like, you know what I'm saying, get the mentality that we're gonna actually run the ball 20 plus times a game? You know what I'm saying? Now that we got his guys, so to speak, you know, offensive linemen that look like the people that he wants. Are we going to change that mentality, or are we going to keep it pass heavy? Because in my opinion, I don't know how you feel, I feel like we have more playmakers at the wide receiver position than we do at running back.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that. And I'm also in agreement, but I just don't know. And that's my biggest question mark, because that's what I'm trying to explain, right? That, you know, I like, you know, getting a fresh guy in the offensive line room. Hopefully that can clean up some of the technique issues that we've been dealing with. But at the end of the day, the root of it to me is a systemic problem that we just don't commit to the running game. And if you don't commit to it, I mean, it's going to be hard to really see a true improvement, man. It's hard to ask those guys without them having a bunch of reps, without them doing, like, you can throw the ball. That's fine. A lot of teams do that, but are we going to finally establish our running game to be a true balanced offense? That question remains to be answered. And I'm assuming they understand that and they're going to work towards that. But to me, if they don't do that, I'm afraid it's not going to look a whole lot different. Probably be a little bit better, but not as much better as it probably could be.
But see, you got to run the ball because you got 2 young quarterbacks. How are you going to do them that disservice, leaving them out to dry without having a decent running game? I feel like we won't have a running back 1, but we might have a 1A, a 1B, a 1C, because everybody runs the ball different. Everybody runs the ball different. But do you think will we have more continuity in the running game with one running back or multiple running backs?
I think it's more so the continuity up front that is the most important. I think all the rotation that we had up front was an issue, whether people want to admit it or not. It's just not ideal to rotate offensive linemen in that capacity. But in terms of everybody's used to having a multiple back system, right? You always have up to 3 guys that typically consistently contribute, right? So, and I agree with you. I agree with your statement. I mean, I don't know if I see just one clear favorite as being like that true running back 1, not right now at least. I mean, you look at the older guys in the room, like, you know, Daniel Hill, Kevin Riley. I don't know if I like either one of those as like that true, you know, RB1.
Yeah, they're young too.
Yeah, and they're still kind of young too. But even with their skill sets, to me, I feel like they're both better as like feature backs. I think the young guys in the room, like even like Crowell, like he to me kind of looks like he has all the traits that you look for to being like a true 3-down back, but he's really young. I mean, he's going to be technically a senior in high school. So I think it might look a little bit more by committee, at least early on in the season. But at the end of the day, man, feed the hot hand. And I think it's okay if you have a bunch of guys rotating. That means you do have fresh legs in there. And I think that makes the competition that much better. So hopefully that's how it plays out. But yeah, I agree. I don't know if I see like one true running back 1 right now, but we'll have to see when the season comes.
And one more thing, Chris, before I let you go. We need somebody in punt return, bro. We need somebody with some juice who can give us, you know, a spark, man. We need that. We need a good punter. We definitely need a field goal kicker because, you know what I'm saying, like, I've seen a lot of games, just like Oklahoma. If you know, if we had the guy at the field goal kicking position, it might be a different outcome. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Special teams will be big. I mean, one thing that people don't talk about is the field position battle that we typically lost this season. And that like you said, punting, coverage, return game, all that stuff matters. And then you look at Oklahoma when they have a kicker that's that accurate and can, he can, knock them in from that far out. I mean, that's a weapon. So I will say this, the guys that we brought in via the portal, I want to say we brought in a kicker to compete with our starting kicker that hopefully will help breed some competition there. But the punter, he came from a smaller school in Alabama, but he had a couple punts like 70 yards, and he had like one of the nation's best averages. So that's a huge get, if not one of the best portal additions. But you're right, a true returner that can make a difference back there can make the difference in the world. I mean, back in 2016 when we had Eddie Jackson returning punts, I mean, think about how many times we were, taking that to the trip. Yeah, Jalen Waddle. I mean, we that does a big. I mean, that's a big deal for your return game and field position battle. Always a threat to put points on the board. So I don't know who that might be right now, but we'll see.
Even the Slim Reaper got back there and tried it out for a minute, man. You know what I'm saying? We just need somebody with some juice, man.
Yeah, that's it, 100%, man. I mean, we got some good athletes on this team, so we'll have to see. But I don't know who I would put back there right now. But we'll have more answers in the spring, though.
All right, Christian, man. I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Always, brother. Roll Tide, man. Good deal. All right. We'll let Duval get back to work, man. You got to be careful. It sounds like he's operating those not cranes. What are they called, man? I don't know. My brain is just like not trying to come up with words today. Cyrus Jones. That's another good one, man. Cyrus Jones that was 2015. He was the same way. Yeah, we had some damn good returns. Now, you had Christian Jones back in like 2013, I think, 2012. I want to say he was back there. Man, we had some damn good returners, man. 2014, who was our returner? I don't know. Maybe D. White. I can't remember. Anyway, we always had some good returners, so we need some more of those, man. Those always make a big difference in the football game. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back. We'll go back to the phone lines. We got our guy Jarvis up next, and we'll keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Yeah, forklifts. That's what I was looking for. Wait, did JJ return punts? He was on kick return, right? O-line struggle with technical flaws, failing to create leverage and clear holes. Yeah, that's true. No, I agree, especially with like the stunts and movement up front. Stunts and movement up front definitely caused us some issues. Javier Arenas was he was that dude back there for sure. Yeah, he was that dude back there. Did Diggs? I think Diggs was a returner too, right? We had Diggs back there. Trying to think of who else. Trying to think of who on our roster. I mean, because you lose Cole Adams, you lose Mbakwe, who both said. I mean, Ryan Williams has gone back there sometimes. I mean, he's definitely got that ability. At this point, I wouldn't mind putting him back there. I mean, listen, when he's got the ball in his hands, his ability to make guys miss is second to none. And I know you always have the concern where you don't want him to get injured, but Kenyon Drake, 100%. My dog Drake was back there too. More on Drake did punt return too. Terry Grant. Why does that name sound familiar? A bit older, but man, he was the best running back. Terry Grant. Name sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure. Hey, real quick, I know I gotta do this. You guys know it. If you guys haven't, man, hit that like button real quick. We always appreciate it. Again, it just keeps everything free, man. Yeah, we're at 96. We're almost at 100, man. Let's see if we can get to 120 before we get out of here. That'd be awesome. Rico Scott, maybe. Yeah. I mean, because the receiver, I mean, you got Latsier Brooks, you got Ryan Williams, you got Rico Scott, Noah Rogers from NC State, Sadarian Morgan. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Yeah, true freshman we just added. He's definitely got some speed, but just have to see kind of where he's at with things. I mean, putting the guy back there, that's a hard task. I mean, you're talking about fielding punts and stuff. It's easy just to think like, oh, who's the most athletic? But that guy also has to be trustworthy, because sometimes, you got a guy that's really athletic, but he's a little bit of liability in terms of fielding the punt. And half the time, they don't even always get a chance to return it. Half the time, you're just hoping that they make good decisions, right? Whether the fair catch, whether to let it go, make a Peter call. But yeah, I'm trying to. I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like I haven't really seen Rico like have a whole bunch of opportunities to show what he can do in like that type of setting, like really with the ball in his hands and working. You know what I mean? Like I know we used him a little bit in some screen game, but for some reason, when I think of Rico, I think of more of a linear type runner. But I could be wrong. I don't. That's just kind of what's coming to my head right now. I'm not saying that's right. I just for some reason that's kind of coming to my head. I don't know. We'll see. Hell, there might be somebody that's in the DB room that's a good athlete. I mean, Lazio or Brooks. See, like he reminds me like somebody that could probably definitely do it too. Yeah, Bach could have been a great punt returner. If only y'all knew the story about that one. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick reminder, if you guys are looking for a nice cigar, it's cold outside. Maybe you enjoy a nice stick with some bourbon. Well, look no further than R&R Cigars, 2703 Gary Fitz Street right here in Tuscaloosa. If you're looking for a place to watch a game, you got a basketball game tonight. Always a great spot if you're looking to go hang out, enjoy a nice stick, nice bourbon, one of maybe or a couple you can try. They've got over 160 of them, so it's almost endless. Make sure you guys drink responsibly. You see it right there on the ad screen, but check them out. Plus, you can always order from their website. All those great deals and those great options can be shipped right to your doorstep. rnrcigars.com. Code Miller's Edge should be still running. Get you a nice little discount for being a listener, so make sure you guys take advantage of that. But I know it's cold outside. They got TVs inside. They normally have the heaters on the porch. And it's a great little venue, man. You got to check it out, man. It's a big white mansion on the corner downtown, and you can't miss it. But it's always a great spot, and we've known them for years. Great folks over there. Always a good time. So make sure you guys check them out. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. And they just celebrated their 14th year anniversary. Shout out to R&R Cigars. All right, let's keep it rolling on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Jarvis up next. Jarvis, welcome in.
How's it going, Christian? You doing pretty good today?
Man, I can't complain. Jarvis, how's everything, brother?
Oh, no, man. I'm working today, and you be giving me hard times. I will say that.
I'm giving you – wait, hold on. Who's giving you hard times?
You got me watching film now. And
good.
Like, oh, man. So now I got to constantly – I said, oh, man.
That's what we like, Jarvis. That's what we like, man. Just don't get in trouble at work. Don't blame that on me. But, yeah, pull up the tape, Jarvis. I love it, man.
I work from home today. So I just want to put in my 2 cents. I think that we do have a good coach. I will say this, that just like, let me just give you this analogy. A millionaire would not forget how they became a millionaire. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that being said, just like a farmer does not forget how they became a farmer and know how to continue to be a farmer. That being said, the boat has not forgotten how to be a coach. Okay. Like they say, the billionaires or the millionaires, they will hire the smart people around them to set out as far as what they trying to project, as far as what they're trying to sell, or what kind of culture they're trying to bring into their corporation. And that's what he's doing right now. With this hiring for this offensive line coach, he's bringing in the person that has the pedigree of a championship culture. He's been, as far as in the Super Bowl, he's been around a head coach, Belichick, that has the culture as far as like what their expectation is, a high standard as far as out of their players and development. So when you bring somebody in that mindset into what you're trying to establish as a culture in your football team in Alabama, as far as the way he want to run his team, then that's what he's doing. So that being said, he hasn't forgotten how to be a coach. So just continue to see what the outcome going to be. So I'm looking forward to, hey, if they put out the best 5 offensive linemen out there, that's what I want to see. Now let's just roll with it. None of that, switching back and forth and subbing in out, because the O-line has to gel and they have to come together over time during the season. So if you come to keep switching offensive linemen in and out, how are you going to expect them to gel together? So you need them to go to the best 5 and just roll with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I thought that was one thing we probably should have done last year at some point, man, earlier on. Just pick your best 5 and just let them work, let them grow and mesh and let them figure it out. And I think that probably would have boded a little bit better. But no, I think you're right when you mentioned, he not only played for the Patriots, but worked alongside, was it I want to say, was Belichick there when he was with the Patriots, or did he already retire? I want to say that. I can't even remember.
He was there with Belichick was there.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He won the Super Bowl with them. So
I couldn't remember when Belichick retired, because I know Klemm was there in 23? Was that one of Belichick's last years? How long has he been at UNC? Just 1 year? Going on a second year?
This is on his second year going on.
Yeah. So I mean that's always good. Listen, like I said, I like the hire as a coach. It's just my biggest thing is I just think there's a little bit more to our issue with our running game. You know what I mean? Outside of just the coach and even some of the guys we brought in. But you guys heard what I said. I thought with all the young guys we have in the room, development will be critical. And after speaking to my former teammate and just kind of knowing his background as a player and working on different stops, I think in terms of a developmental guy, which is literally that's what J.C. Hassenauer used when he described him. I didn't say that was J.C. He mentioned very good developmental coach for young players. That to me, if he would have just sent me that one line, I would have been cool with it. So that got me really fired up. No, really, because I'm like, listen, I'm excited to see what he can get out of this group.
And when I watched the film from our running backs, I will say the only time that I see that we was able to gain yards when we was running the ball out of the shotgun, we didn't do as well. But if you get a chance, if you ever saw Ty Simpson under the center, we was able to gain yards. I noticed that. And the best running back to me last year that had vision as far as hitting the holes was Riley. That was the best. I didn't understand why they didn't keep him playing, because he was the only person that I saw that, even though he's small, but he was tough, but he was able to see the holes, to me. And then he was able to catch in the running game. In the passing game, he was able to catch. But, as a running back, you have to be able to pass block as well. It's very important.
Yeah.
So I think
I like Riley.
Talent. Yeah, I like Riley a lot, because he has speed to him. He's a one-hit, 1 foot down, and he hits the hole. So I think we do have a good running back room. They just inexperienced, and they just need some reps. And I think we're gonna be okay this season. My expectation for my team is not high. I just want them to produce, and I just want them to go out there and do their best. And then, like I say, with the coaching staff, I believe in DeBoer. I'm gonna ride with him, So this is Roll Tide. This is Alabama. So I don't see any other coach that I would want as far as out there. I don't see many coaches that I would like to have, but I think we're gonna be fine this season. What comes season, we just gotta trust the process and see what the outcome is gonna be.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I think we still got to just be patient with stuff. Listen, they're making a change with the O-line coach. Hopefully, they address some of the, I guess, the calling and their system from within this offseason. We'll see what difference that makes, because I think if they do those two things, which they address, the coach and some personnel, we'll see how that works, and we'll see how they kind of address themselves. Hopefully that makes a difference and kind of go from there. But again, you can't disregard the positives that this staff has done. Yeah, we just got to roll from there. Just got to be patient, wait and see. And then we got spring ball coming up. That'll give us a number of answers. But Jarvis, I appreciate you calling in, man. Always good to talk with you, brother.
No problem, Chris. Hey, Chris, one more question before you go. I haven't been seeing Grub as far as on the recruiting trail. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if you have any information on that. they're going to keep him or they're going to find another OC?
I fully expect him to be here. I mean, I don't have like a concrete answer, but I fully expect him to be here. One thing I do know about him is he's not like the biggest recruiter on the staff, so that's probably why you don't see as much of him. But I fully expect him to be here, barring any last minute deal. But yeah, that's probably more so what that is. But we'll talk soon, brother. Make sure you call back in. We'll keep chopping it up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. You have a good day.
You too, brother. That'll do it for us on this Talking Tuesday. Big shout out to everybody involved behind the glass, all our listeners, Tide 100.9, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. We always appreciate you and look forward to doing it again tomorrow right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.